Alright, this is Exas. Simply doing a simple calibration would be the second calibration of the currently working small minigame project. So it's a simple skill-based thing where with a single skill-based, I should say almost rhythm-based. Well, it's a simple one input little game where you just try to actually hit the targets. The blue ones are just bonus. The green one are actually you don't want them to go past you. Like right now, the disparity between all these and the red, you're not supposed to try and input to catch them. Once you get three faults, whether it's the greens going by three times, which might be the case, or you get three different reds, it's supposed to stop spawning stuff. But I think yeah, I removed the effect of the greens making you lose lives whenever they exit the frame. So right now would be only not pressing the reds. I would like to fix that though. The first test and the second test that actually worked caused the whole thing to just have a one single chunk of these well, there was one single aligned chunk of all the different colors. The blue were the exception since they're faster. If you get enough points, which is basically you get one for the greens, the blue are worth trees. If you get enough, they'll simply make it so the speed will slowly increase. And since I don't think they can go partial pixels, this is technically they won't speed up until they actually reach until they actually reach the thing. To do an example, the green point, which has they only have a single thing on themselves, which is their speed. They have a baseline, and then there's a global value of the difficulty, which is raised by the object manager. Um, and every time we get 10 level difficulty, it will increase this total value by 1. And it increases every 10 points, so can go quick if you try to get a lot of blues. Here, there was a miss me line, but again, cousin crash. Shiz. So simple. A very freaking everything. This project is so simple compared to stuff I worked before. Like it's going to be challenge making making adding the little things to make it look better, like sound, music. Well, it's just supposed to be a nice little mini game. So yeah, there's a that yeah that's a code for move, and then you got the code for whenever something is caught. It checked if when you press the space bar, which is keyboard check pressed, so it doesn't check all the time, only once. If VK virtual keyboard space has been pressed, and if the current object is connected to the arrow, which has precise collision. So if I were to adjust the height, it could widen or reduce the how much how much of it counts to this very line. It will add two types of points, just a global score thing, which is supposed to be used to once I have a score, player will know how well they did. And then there's a diff point, the difficulty points that will increase the difficulty once we stack up to 10. And we finish with the instance destroy, which will actually, the self-explanatory, the item well, the object destroys itself. The issue is instance destroy is a mess to deal with if you have further code to try to check for the item itself. So I might have to add one of the preset things that says, hey, if you it would be an event, which would be um well destroy event is upon destruction, but you get the point. I could add one of these that will actually tell you, hey, if I exit the screen, I do something, but usually it's better to do with code. And then we go to the meat of this entire program with the object manager for the game 1. Randomize, so it's never the same thing that it makes a new seed for randomization, so we don't always get the same thing. Game state, because it start off, there's a timer of 2 seconds, and once these passes, it goes to on global points. I told it difficulty, the current, it's a multiplier for the speed and potentially other stuff later on. Global chances, your lives. Once they reach 0, the game stops by going into the state 2, which I should add with stop equal 2. This is a double slash just commentary, so it doesn't have any effect. Same for 3, but then the 3 dashes will make it so you know what the heck is your line of code. Timer, this is the timer before the game. Oh, no, it's 3 seconds. Never mind. Color points, which is just a local, like the timer and game state, they're all just local thing. This decides what color of the little thing should be spawned. Global difficulty points, explained earlier. Whenever we start, prepare the game, check once his own timer is equal, if the timer is above 0, we'll reduce the timer. Once it reaches 0, starts the game. Then color point. This took me a while to actually fix this because I couldn't get more than 1. First, if it's on and the timer is at 0, the timer will set itself to a random value of 45 minus the difficulty, so it's supposed to spawn more and more of them, plus a baseline, which might get overwritten by this, but that depends if it can generate a negative number. Then there's a color, will generate a random color point. That value had a problem had been set 1 too high because it also checks for 0. So it'd be 0, 1, and 2 here right now, but it also checked for a 4th number before, so I was in deep trouble. I simply add the +1 so that whatever value it decides will be incremented by 1, because 0 is the default value that says, hey, we did our job. And that's not what we're trying to get. So here it makes it so if it's 1, create a green one, 2 blue, 3 red. And lastly, another thing I had forgotten, adding a timer that reduces the timer when we're in game state 1, because otherwise it won't spawn anything else. And lastly, difficulty thing. With if the game state is at 1 and the total difficulty point are equal to 10, the global difficulty, I should